Welcome to the flowerschool.com video library. I'm Leanne Kessler, Director of the Floral Design Institute, here to share with you our latest issue. This one focuses on mechanics. 'Tis the season for the bountiful harvest. Thanksgiving's around the corner, and all of a sudden we have these fabulous things to work with, harvest from the garden. But how do you do that? What are the mechanics? Join me and see how easy it is to add the bounty of the harvest to your floral designs. You just need a few things to aid you in the mechanics to work with all of this. One thing, most important maybe, is the Oasis Floral Adhesive Cold Glue. This will bond things together. Gotta have it. And then I like to use metal wire. It comes in different colors. Today I'll be working with the copper. Wood picks. They come in different sizes. I usually use the 4-inch wood pick, but occasionally I need the 6-inch wood pick. It also comes in a 2-inch size, so it depends on how you want to use it. But wood picks, I buy the ones with the wire on them. That way I've got one kind fits all, but I don't need the wire. So I end up cutting it off most of the time and just using the pick. Then I use bind wire. Comes in green and natural. Today I'll be working with the green bind wire. And then just plain old wire, 18 gauge, 22 gauge. Both of them come in quite handy. Sometimes you need it a little heavier, and that's when you grab the 18, and sometimes a little lighter, and the 22 works perfectly. Let's start with the most traditional, apples and pears, and even the oranges or matsuma or tangerine. These all get done relatively easily. Let's start with an apple. There. I take my picks. This is where I definitely need to cut off the wire. Don't need it. And then it's as simple as determining, do you want the face to show, or the side, or maybe even the bottom? But what point do you want to show? And opposite of that, insert your wood pick. I find for something as heavy as an apple, 2 minimum, sometimes 3, just to be safe. Then your Oasis Floral Adhesive, right at the point of insertion, go through and glue. And that will glue the stick directly to the apple and also stop it from decaying and pulling apart. It seals that wound, so it holds so much better. Same thing with the pear. Maybe just 2 sticks. Use the wood and glue it together to the pear. Sometimes you might want to use something not quite as traditional, maybe a red potato. And yes, a red potato can look so grand in a design. I know that sounds silly, but it's beautiful. Same thing, just your wood pick, glue it, and then you want to let it set, completely dry. That's going to take 10 minutes or so, because you don't want it to come loose. You want a nice stable connection. For my oranges, I could do the pick, but generally I use the 18 gauge wire and I pierce from one side all the way to the other, and then bend it down and then twist that together. Go back and glue and wait for it to dry, and you're ready to design. So the picks and the cold glue, that's all fine and dandy for your larger fruits. But what about the smaller things, like cranberries or grapes? With the cranberries, many times I use them strung, like beads. So that's where I use the metal wire. And I just feed them on, like you're stringing popcorn for the Christmas tree. And then after you have a string of them, you can tie it into a bow. You could wrap it around a vase. You could drape it over an arrangement. But however you use them, it's a beautiful cranberry string. For the grapes, divide it into 2 clusters so that you have a pair. And then using a bit of the bind wire, tie it underneath one of the laterals. Lash it together so that basically you have grapes hanging. Then go across to the other side. I've got way too much bind wire. I'll save that for later. And take another section, and again, going under a lateral. And then tie it together. Lash it. So now you've got two of them hanging together. Then I use these by simply taking them and draping them over a container. You see here. Just drape over the edge, cut off the excess, and then go back and add your flowers. Then there are the things that you don't really think of to use in an arrangement. Maybe a pepper, green beans, mushrooms. Mushrooms are easy. They're like the apples, just a wood pick right in the bottom. And then, of course, using your cold glue right at the base. Now, if you want to terrace them, use them at the base of a design in a terracing fashion, then you would just take your pick and go in sideways rather than at the bottom. And then again, glue it. For the green beans, or anything else that's linear like this, just gather them up in your hands and then lash them together, maybe with a bit of raffia. Tying it in a knot. Gives you a wonderfully decorative bundle. And you can leave the raffia long and trailing, or you can cut it down. That's really up to you. Then an 18-gauge wire, just feed it through, bend it down, and anchor it into your arrangement like that. Now lastly, the peppers. You could pick them like I did the apples and the pears, but what's fun to do is many times just cut it open. Create a small hole. Clean out a bit of the inside, but I don't worry about too much of that. I leave most of it in. And then rather than setting it in the arrangement, set the arrangement inside of it by just taking a very small piece of foam and setting it right down in your waterproof container. So now you know the mechanics for the bountiful harvest. You just need to dash off to the market, gather a bountiful basket, find the perfect flowers, and start creating. It's your turn. If you've got questions, don't hesitate to contact us. You can reach us through the website at flowerschool.com or give us a call at 1-800-819-8089. If email is easier, feel free to use my personal email. It's Leanne, Leanne, @floraldesigninstitute.com. For now, happy harvest time to you. Enjoy the bounty and do something you love.